Hi everyone, welcome to another video here on my channel. So today I'm going to be walking you through my bullet journal. So for my last cash envelope stuffing video, I got a few requests to show my bullet journal. Even though I don't think that my bullet journal is super good, at least compared to others that I've seen, and it's not something that I would do without a request. I'm still going to show it because I did get those requests, if that makes sense. So I got my bullet journal from Barnes and Nobles. It was about $20, but if you go to like Walmart or Michael's or like any craft store, you can get them for a lot cheaper and like the same quality. But this is the one that I have for now. And when you open it, the first thing that you see is the like cover page. It says 2020, of course, for the year, and then also 2020 for like 2020 vision. And then my bullet journal is split into two sections. So there's like a finance section where I do all of my monthly budgets. And then I also have a second section where it's like monthly tracking for different things. So the first one I'll go over is the monthly budget. So as you can see, it goes back to April when I first started it in this bullet journal, and it's now July, and the outline or like the style is basically the same, except I've added just a few things, so I'll just like walk you through it. So the first thing that I always do is write down some goals for the month. And then I write out our expenses in different sections. So the first section I have is what I call special events. That's like birthdays or just events that don't happen every single month, but it's still something that you need to pay for. So a big example for me is birthdays. So I split all of my sections up into three like subsections. One is, of course, what the expense is. Second section is when the expense needs to be paid. And then the third section is the amount of the expense. So for example, my aunt's birthday was on the 9th and I budget $20. And then the next section I have is what I call no due dates. Those are expenses that don't exactly have a due date, like for example, a car payment does, but you still have to take care of it each month. For example, it's gas, groceries, and light. Then the next section I have is what I call auto pay section, and I like to differentiate expenses that are on auto pay from expenses that are not on auto pay, because I like to make sure that my auto pay expenses are taken care of first. And then there's that regular bills section where the expenses are not on auto pay, for example, rent. And then the very last section is a relatively new section, which is sinking funds. I didn't start sinking funds till like a month ago. So I have the expense and then the amount that I am putting aside. Then the next thing that I do is I budget out the expenses and our income. So all of the square boxes here are paychecks that we receive throughout the month. And then I have underneath each paycheck an estimated income and actual income section. So estimated income is like what we're expecting the check to come out to, and then actual income is what it actually comes out to. So a big difference here is we were expecting $200 for this check, but we actually ended up getting $458. And then underneath that is the expense that we're taking care of. The second section is the amount that we were budgeting for. And then the third section is what we actually put aside for that expense. For example, for the dentist, you can see here we weren't expecting to put anything aside for it, but we ended up putting aside $69. And then the very last section is what I've added as a summary section, which is new as well. And in the blue here, we have estimated, and then in the pink, we have actual. So the first one is estimated debt contribution. So we want to put aside $619 for this month for debt. Actual is what we are actually going to put aside, which we won't know until the end of the month. So that is the layout for how I do my budgeting in the bullet journal. And then I also have some trackings. I've drawn some trackings into the bullet journal for several different things. So when we were on baby step number 1, I made this drawing, if I can find it. Here it is. So I made this drawing when we were building a $1,000 emergency fund. So I have the jar, and then I have the interval amount. So like each line is worth $40. Next to that, I have the amount that we actually put aside, along with the date that we put that amount aside. At this time, we filled that up, and now we're on baby step number 2, which is why I've made this debt tracker. This is an overall debt tracker. So as you can see, our total amount of debt that we started with was $54,800, and I've broken that into $200 boxes. I think there's like over 200 boxes total. And at this time, we filled out some of the boxes. So you just follow the arrows and go on through halfway there, and then until we get there. I got most of these ideas for the drawings from Pinterest and then also other YouTube channels. This one I specifically got from another YouTuber. Her name is Asia Dang. She does like finances and lifestyle videos. And then this one that I made, it's more for the individual debts. So you can see we have like phone debts, taxes, loans, and each box represents something. So like one box is $50, but on this side are the bigger debts. So each box is worth $200. And then we have the same kind of layout for the sinking funds here. So like we have Christmas, like vehicle maintenance stuff, and each box is worth $20. As you can probably tell, I'm a very visual person, so I love to have not only like looking at numbers, but I also like to fill out the boxes to see my progress along the way. And again, I get all of these visuals off of like Pinterest or other YouTubers. But that's basically it for the finance/budget section. The last section in the back is like my monthly tracking for like personal and like, I don't know, like mental health, I guess, kind of. So I started this section back in March. And the first page that I always do is a habit tracker. So because there's like 31 days in a month and I needed to fit it onto one page, I split it into 2 sections. So the 1st through the 15th or the 16th, and then the bottom is 17th through the 31st. Then on the left side, I have the different habits that I am tracking. So every day, for example, that I read, I'll fill in or dot in one of those boxes. As you can tell, I'm not very good at it. I'm not super consistent with it. And that's true even to this day in July. Then the third page is my reading challenges tracker. So one of my goals for this year is to read a lot more. And the way that I chose to enforce that is to choose some reading challenges to kind of like guide me along the way. So that's what this page is for, to take track of that. So we have the name of the challenge, what the actual challenge is, the name of the book, and then the check mark is if I finished it. I've changed that since then, but that's how I started tracking it. Then this next page is what I call reflections. So like at the end of the month, I look over how everything went. I take notes on what I want to improve, basically what happened. So as you can see, I put not consistent with habit tracking, improve, did very good on my reading. Those were the reflections for the month of March. And then April, habit tracker, reading challenges, reflections. And then May, I get all of these cover pages ideas from Pinterest as well. So habit tracker, June was a complete mess. The cover page was a mess. I didn't draw the habit tracker until halfway through the month, and then I didn't even follow through with doing that. So as you can tell, June was not a good month for me. And then we are in July. This is my favorite cover page that I've made so far just because it turned out really good, at least that I think. And then I have my habit tracker. Like I said, I'm not doing good with this really at all. And then my reading challenges section. I did finish one book for this month so far for the Unread Shelf Challenge. The challenge was to read a book that was voted for me by Bookstagram. The book I read was The Cleaner, and I finished reading that on July 8th. I'm currently working on the second challenge, which is this one. Then I did add another section, which I am calling gratitude. To sort of work on like self-care and like mental health. One thing that I wanted to do was when I wake up in the morning and get my routine started, I want to name at least one thing that I'm grateful for. And as you can see, I've listed 1 through 31. So like the days. So today is the 15th. And I put in for what I'm grateful for today is flexibility. And that's really just about like my job. Because my job is super flexible, I can choose my hours, which means that I can choose what time I can hang out with like family and friends. So that's what I put today. And I honestly only put that because I knew I was gonna do this video and I didn't want a completely blank page, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. And then lastly, reflections, which I won't fill out until the end of the month. And that basically concludes, that's everything for my bullet journal. Eventually, when I fill up this entire bullet journal, you can see there's still some space left. I actually want to have 2 separate bullet journals, one for my finances and budgeting, and then another strictly for this. So if you like this video, or if you like how my bullet journal is set up, definitely like the video. Comment down below if you have any suggestions on how to be consistent with bullet journaling, or maybe just some tips in general for layouts. I would really appreciate that. Definitely subscribe to see more of my future videos. I will be posting a cash envelope stuffing to my channel this Saturday, so definitely be subscribed, and I will see you till then.